On May 15th, 2016, we lost a man that some called Dad or Pa, some called him Grandpa or Great-Grandpa, Uncle or Cousin, and many most certainly called him Friend. This is his story. Chester Irving Anderson, more widely known as Chet, was like no other. He was born on April 7, 1926, to John Larka and Annie Louise Anderson, just over 90 years ago. 90 years, that's a long time. To put into perspective how things have changed since then, imagine this. 90 years ago, the President of the United States was Calvin Coolidge. Henry Ford, you know, the car guy? Well, he introduced the 40-hour work week. And the population in the United States was right around 115 million. Today, the U.S. population is over 322 million, and Dad made his contribution. He married Joyce Dames on June 25, 1948, and together they had 8 children, 21 grandchildren, and 23 great-grandchildren. I'd say he left his mark. Chet was a proud man, and he had a lot to be proud of. He was especially proud of being a veteran and serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II. He was a gunner on the USS Alcoa Patriot and served from 1944 to 1946. He had a lot of stories about his time in the Navy, and he was always seen wearing his World War II vet ball cap. He and that cap were pretty much inseparable. One of his favorite stories was the one he told about a top-secret mission he was part of. His ship made a stop to the Philippine Islands in the middle of the night. All of the crew members, Pa included, were ordered to unload all the crates they had been carrying around from the ship. No one thought too much of it at the time, but years later he discovered that those crates contained the parts that were used to build the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. He always talked about that history. Although he spent some time raising his children in Duluth, Spring Lake Park, Fridley, and Anoka, he eventually settled down in Coon Rapids. Coming from the old school, it was important to him that he have a trade. He chose to go into construction. About 2 years ago, he received his 65-year pin from the Carpenters Union. That's quite an accomplishment. Over the years, he worked for several different construction companies, as well as owning and operating 2 different construction companies, Chet Anderson Construction and Modern Concept Builders. He taught his sons the art of carpentry at a very young age. All 3 of them, Chester, James, and Gary, as well as a few of the grandchildren, Sean, Clint, Maggie, Blake, and JR, followed in his footsteps, and as a family they built many, many homes. In fact, back in the earlier days, Pa helped take the tiny town of Coon Rapids to the city it is now. On his 80th birthday, he was recognized by proclamation from the mayor of Coon Rapids for his contribution to the city, and April 7th is now officially known as Chet Anderson Day in Coon Rapids. We all know that Pa loved his jokes, and he had many. One of his favorites: what do you call a 100-pound gorilla with a 50-pound testicle? Yep, you got it. Half nuts. That was Pa. He was unfiltered and said what was on his mind. The notion of being politically correct never really caught on with him, but hey, that was part of his charm and beauty. You always knew where you stood with him. You know, he loved his old-time country music. He was always belting out some Johnny Cash or Merle Haggard tune. He also loved to polka dance. He'd gather up the family and we'd head to the old Bellray Ballroom in Mounds View. Those were the days. Out on the dance floor, two-stepping to the polka until we were so tired our feet hurt. There There are so many good memories from those days. One thing is for certain, Chet loved people. He was a big, strapping Swede with a presence. It's not very likely he could sneak into a party or an event unnoticed, and he loved to talk. His story spread far and wide, and once you met him, you weren't likely to forget him. He would look for opportunities to go be social. He loved his time at the Dusty Eagle, catching up with all of his Swedish friends. He loved his Saturday dinners at the VFW. And family reunions, well, they were a non-stop gab fest for him. He also liked to hunt. Now, I can't remember the last time he actually got a deer, so I really think hunting was just an excuse to spend time socializing with family and friends. He was not only social, he was a list maker. You know what list I'm talking about. Yep, the daily phone call list. It was like clockwork, right? You come to expect that phone call every day, and if you didn't get it, you began to wonder if you were moved to his other list. I think we've all been on that other list a time or two. Pa was a hard-working, well-respected, and honest guy. He lived a life that was full. He loved his family and friends, and he had a great sense of humor that stayed with him until the very end. He and Ma, while living apart, never stopped loving each other, and the mention of her name always put a smile on his face. Everyone that Chet knew held a special place in his heart. He touched a lot of lives and was always so thankful for his family and many friends.
World War II. Prepare to fire 3 volleys of musketry. Attention! Port arms. Unlock rifles. Ready. Aim. Fire. Ready. Fire. Ready. Fire. Port arms. Unlock rifles. Present arms.
He was a giant when I was just a kid. I was always trying to do everything he did. I can still remember every lesson he taught me. Growing up, learning how to be like my old man. was a lion. We were a father's pride, but I was defiant when he made me walk the line. He knew how to lift me up and when to let me fall. Looking back, he always had a plan. My old man, my old man. Feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls. My old man. Now I finally understand. I have a lot to learn from my old man. Now I'm a giant, got a son of my own. He's always trying to go everywhere I go. Do the best I can to raise him up the right way, hoping that he someday wants to be like his old man. I know one day we'll meet again. As he's looking down, my old man, I hope he's proud of who I am. I'm trying to fill the boots of my old